Well, first and foremost, I want to thank all of you for embracing us and getting involved in this conversation. And B, I want to thank the faculty, the staff, the students, all who have been involved up to this point and all who will be involved moving forward for your great work. You've answered the call. Many of you answered the call immediately upon being asked. More than 132 strong of you come together to put all of this together and to come out with these recommendations, and I'm greatly appreciative. What you did took hard work. It took fortitude, patience, and determination, and the institution is grateful for it. And it's grateful for the pathway that we have now established for ourselves based on what you all have done. I want to take a little bit of time to outline some of the discourse that we have heard moving up to this and how we will move forward once this entity is complete. Let me start off first by saying Mason is not unique in universities heeding the call. It has been reported that more than 239 institutions across our country, following the death of George Floyd, put together initiatives on anti-racism, diversity, and inclusive excellence. George Mason is just a part of those entities. Duke University put in place a program to assess and remediate systematic biases in their university and in their curriculum. The University of Chicago launched a comprehensive group of programs and initiatives to support anti-racism, diversity, and inclusivity. The University of Maryland, very close to us, just recently announced 10 separate initiatives to address anti-racism and inclusive excellence. Clemson University removed the name of John C. Calhoun, who held that slavery was a positive good, from its honors college. Even James Madison, very close to us, announced that it was rechristening 3 campus buildings named for Confederate military leaders. The point is this is part of a comprehensive response to issues that we've known have been problems for quite some time. Mason is just doing its part in addressing these issues in a Mason kind of way. The next thing I want to address is, does anti-racism mean that we are racist as an institution? You know, let me start off by saying, from the perspective of race, Mason has accomplished a great deal. We are definitely the most diverse campus in Virginia by a long mile. We've established a Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation campus. The Jimmy and Rosalind Carter School for Peace and Conflict, the Enslaved Children of George Mason Research and Memorial Project, which our partner in crime here, Wendy Manuel Scott, is involved with. We've led in the establishment of chief diversity officers at a number of our schools and in a number of our colleges. That being said, there are areas where we are truly behind our peers. Our full-time faculty don't look like our students. 81.6% are white and Asian. We are below our peers in the production of underrepresented graduate students. If you parse our degree attainment numbers, African-American and Latinx males are 20% or more below their level of attainment than their gender peers. Our leadership teams in our colleges and schools are not as diverse as many peers in Virginia or the DMV. And too many students are now citing far too many instances of racial harassment and bias, and a number feel alienated from others in their respective disciplines on campus. Look, I'm not interested in quashing this debate. To the contrary, too many people on both sides are not engaged in respectful dialogue on this topic. And this is a real danger to our students. They will have to deal with difficult topics that they will inherit that were here in this world before they got here. And I feel that one of our jobs is to help them develop the inner strength, the courage of their convictions, and the ability to exercise those frank conversations about this difficult topic. Let me wrap up by addressing free speech. Free speech exerts a cost on a campus. And at George Mason, we are willing to pay that cost. What we must understand, however, is that the weight of that cost is not borne the same by all groups. Here's how we will manage it. We will disagree without delegitimizing. We will question the ideas and not the motives. How will we handle hate speech? First and foremost, by counter messaging. If necessary, we will condemn it if the speech needs to be condemned. We will provide direct support to targeted individuals and groups. We will have dialogue and education. But in the context of hate crimes, in the context of harassment, in the context of other conduct that violates the law, aggressive disciplinary responses are warranted and will be followed. So what is the process going forward? We're going to finalize the recommendations emanating from our team here. That process will be one that will include the whole campus, all of us in engagement and providing feedback. And then that information will move to an implementation team who will then have the responsibility of implementing the recommendations that will spring forward through this process. You know, as I conclude, the whole point of this task force is to ask hard questions about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and to get to honest answers. One question I have been asked very lately and very publicly is about Mason's custodial workers. Are they safe? Are they treated properly? My answer to this is, I hear the question and I understand it well. And we're getting to the bottom of the answer. We value everyone who works on our campus, whether they are faculty, classified staff, student employees, or contractors. The university has conducted an initial review, and as a result, I have ordered an outside audit of our labor practices of the companies that provide Mason's custodial services. I expect a thorough and fair and thoughtful audit, and I look forward to hearing the results. In order to be fair to all involved, we will not be able to comment on the specifics of those entities until we get through the process and until findings have been complete.